Brad, let's get to the next topic here. Enough of these reviews of the division. We wanted to talk about owner GMs and Snyder and Jerry Jones, and you can name like Haslam. I think is volatile enough to where he's effectively trying to be at the top and the control. Al Davis for years. Has it ever worked?
Has it ever worked? It seems like a weird combo.
The argument, I guess, and I'm just throwing some devil's advocate stuff out. The first argument people will say is, well, Jerry Jones, he won 3 Super Bowls, including the one after Jerry Johnson left. But Jerry Johnson was effectively the GM and built that team.
Jimmy Johnson, right?
Jimmy Johnson. What did I say, Jerry? Yeah, Jimmy Johnson built that team in the organization there. And then I think they lost the next year to the 49ers in the championship game, and then they won the Super Bowl with Barry Switzer. That was Jimmy Johnson's team. And I'm trying to think of another one. I do think that there is one that worked once upon a time, but it's escaping me at this point. Like, I can't think of an owner. Oh, Al Davis was the other one in the 70s, but not in today's football. Not in salary cap football with, crazy analytics and, new schemes and everything. He kind of held on. I don't. What do you think it is, Brad? Like, why do owners do this? Is it ego? Is it?
I think it is ego. Maybe it's the need to be in control of everything. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're owning the team and you're paying these players, you want to pick the player. You want to pick your employees. Maybe that's how they see it, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. All right. So your father, we won't mention companies, but your father was a very, very, very high-powered executive for a very, very globally well-known brand. Mm-hmm. If he owned an NFL team, what kind of owner do you think he'd be?
That's
like take all the owners that you know of in the NFL. Say this one's most like my dad. I think if my dad had the job, this is the one that my dad would be most like. Is it Bob Kraft?
It'd probably be Bob Kraft.
You think he'd be Bob Kraft, or are you just saying that because of the spa in Florida?
My dad would be the owner, the head coach, the GM,
the towel boy, the Gatorade mixer.
Oh my god! Funny. Oh my god!
That's a good game. That's a good game.
It's a good game.
Like my dad, I'm trying to wonder if my dad was the owner, what owner would he be? I'd have to say my dad would probably, and this is very complimentary towards him, I think he'd probably, the name that strikes me right now is like the Rooneys. I think he'd be like the Rooneys. Like, he's very project manager. I think he's very consensus driven, and that's what I picture the Rooneys being. But I think he'd be more volatile than them because he's got that Irish temper.
Oh, for sure. But that might do some good. That little temper, keep people on their toes.
Right. So maybe, yeah, exactly. Like maybe that Irish temper, and you don't have the Le'Veon Bell holdout situation and the Antonio Brown nut. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Antonio Brown went nutty after he left Pittsburgh. We haven't talked about this. Did you see that Antonio Brown apologized to Ben Roethlisberger? Said I didn't know how good I had it.
No.
Yeah, tweeted it out.
Wow.
I think he's trying to angle his way back into that relationship and try to get back into Pittsburgh, but they're not going to have him back.
That's awesome.
And then Drew Rosenhaus conditionally terminated his representation of Antonio Brown until he seeks help.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how bad things are. Yeah, so I think Antonio Brown now is like trying to take steps of contrition and all that, but. It's Antonio Brown. Look, I really think something mentally is going on with him, whether you believe that the Vontaze Burfict concussion changed him in some chemical way, or if he's got, and this it's not fair of me to say. I recognize it's not fair of me to say, but I theorize that he's very similar to what I think Brandon Marshall was, who actually went, I grew up locally with Brandon Marshall, not that I knew him that well or anything, but the multiple personality disorder, I think something is actually legitimately wrong with him, and I think he probably needs to seek some help, whether talking to somebody or be on some medication. So, I know he's nutty, and we kind of make light of it, but I do think it's kind of an escalating bad situation for him. So,
sure.
We'll see.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Anyway, you got anything else, man? I think we could probably call that an episode.
I think that's it, my brother.
All right. So next week, I think we'll talk about NFC East. And Brad, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what quarterbacks in the league, because I want to play this game next week. What quarterbacks in the league would you take today for one or two, let's call it 2 seasons, over Tom Brady? Over Tom Brady. We're going to play that game next week. Which quarterback would you take for 2 years over Tom Brady? And when I want you to think about this, I don't want you to just to compare talent versus talent. I want you to think about where they are as an organization, right? So like, what's a bad team this year? Okay, Carolina. Okay. If you're Carolina, do you sign Tom Brady or do you go with some rookie or who you have there? Well, it's Carolina. They're not going to compete next year, right? Is it worth signing Tom Brady? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But try to take out like what the organization is trying to accomplish next year. Are they rebuilding or are they going for a run here? That'll be a fun game because I don't know. I haven't worked my way through, but I think he's going to be in the top 10 for both of us. But I don't know yet. So we'll see.